The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The timeless wisdom of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Imagine a nation gripped by uncertainty. Banks were failing. Businesses were closing. Families were losing their homes. Millions of people had no jobs, no savings, and little hope for the future. The year was 1933. The United States was in the depths of the Great Depression, one of the darkest economic crises in history. Fear had spread across the country like a powerful storm. People feared losing everything they owned. They feared poverty. They feared tomorrow. It was at this critical moment that a newly elected president stepped before the American people and delivered a message that would echo through history. Franklin D. Roosevelt declared, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." These simple words became one of the most famous quotes ever spoken by a leader. Nearly a century later, they continue to inspire millions of people around the world. But what did Roosevelt really mean? And why does this message remain so powerful? Today, let's explore the wisdom hidden within this legendary statement. At first glance, Roosevelt's words may seem strange. After all, there are many things in life that can be dangerous. Natural disasters, illness, financial hardship, and countless other challenges are real. So how could fear itself be the greatest thing to fear? Roosevelt understood something profound about human nature. Fear is not always a response to danger. Sometimes fear becomes the danger. When fear takes control of our minds, it can paralyze us. It can prevent us from taking action. It can cause us to make poor decisions. It can convince us that failure is inevitable before we even try. In other words, fear often creates more suffering than the challenge we face. Imagine standing at the edge of a swimming pool for the first time. You want to learn to swim, but you're afraid. Your mind begins to create stories. What if I sink? What if I embarrass myself? What if I can't do it? The fear grows larger and larger until you never enter the water at all. Years later, you still cannot swim, not because you were incapable, but because fear stopped you from discovering what you could do. This principle applies to nearly every area of life. Many people never start a business because they fear failure. Many never pursue their dream career because they fear rejection. Many never express their feelings because they fear being hurt. Many never reach their full potential because they fear stepping outside their comfort zone. The obstacle is not always reality. Often, the obstacle is fear. Roosevelt understood that America was facing a similar problem during the Great Depression. The economy was in terrible condition, but fear was making everything worse. People rushed to withdraw money from banks because they feared losing their savings. As more people withdrew their money, banks became weaker. Fear created actions that produced even greater problems. It became a vicious cycle. Roosevelt's message was not that the crisis was imaginary. His message was that fear was magnifying the crisis. If people could regain confidence, they could begin rebuilding their lives and their nation. This lesson extends far beyond economics. Consider how fear influences our daily lives. Have you ever postponed an important conversation because you feared conflict? Have you ever avoided applying for a job because you feared rejection? Have you ever delayed pursuing a goal because you feared making mistakes? Most people have. Fear whispers powerful lies. It says, "You are not ready. You are not good enough. You will fail. People will judge you." Yet when we examine these thoughts closely, we often discover they are assumptions rather than facts. Fear tends to focus on the worst possible outcome. Wisdom focuses on reality. One of the most remarkable aspects of Roosevelt's quote is that it does not tell us to eliminate fear completely. Fear is a natural, human emotion. Everyone experiences it. Even the bravest individuals feel fear. The difference is that courageous people do not allow fear to control their actions. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward. Despite fear, think about great explorers who crossed unknown oceans. Think about inventors who risked failure to create something new. Think about civil rights leaders who stood against injustice despite enormous personal risks. None of these people were fearless. They simply decided that their purpose was greater than their fear. This is an important distinction. Many people wait until they no longer feel afraid before taking action. Unfortunately, that moment rarely arrives. Action often comes first. Confidence follows. The entrepreneur starts the business while feeling uncertain. The student gives the presentation while feeling nervous. The athlete competes despite self-doubt. Through action, fear gradually loses its power. Another lesson hidden within Roosevelt's words is the danger of imagined fears. Human beings possess extraordinary imaginations. This is one of our greatest strengths. It allows us to innovate, create, and solve problems. However, imagination can also work against us. Sometimes we imagine disasters that never occur. We replay negative scenarios repeatedly in our minds. We suffer from events that exist only in our imagination. Mark Twain once said that he had experienced many terrible things in his life, some of which actually happened. The statement is humorous, but it contains a deep truth. Many of our fears never become reality. We spend days, weeks, or even years worrying about possibilities that never occur. Meanwhile, life continues passing by. Roosevelt's message reminds us not to surrender our present happiness to future uncertainties. The future is unknown, but fear often pretends it knows exactly what will happen, and according to fear, the outcome is usually terrible. Wisdom encourages us to question those predictions. Is the situation really as hopeless as fear suggests? What evidence supports our worries? What opportunities might exist that we cannot yet see? These questions weaken fear's grip on our minds. Perhaps this is why Roosevelt's words have survived for generations. They speak not only to nations, but also to individuals. Every person faces moments of uncertainty. A graduate entering the workforce, a parent raising children, an entrepreneur launching a company, a patient facing a medical challenge, a dreamer pursuing an ambitious goal. In each case, fear appears. The details may differ, but the emotional experience is remarkably similar. Fear tells us to retreat. Fear tells us to remain where it is safe and familiar. Fear tells us to avoid risk, yet growth rarely occurs within the boundaries of comfort. Every meaningful achievement requires stepping into uncertainty. When we look back at our lives, the moments we treasure most often involve overcoming fear. The first time we spoke in public, the first time we traveled somewhere unfamiliar, the first time we took a chance on ourselves. Those experiences become sources of strength because they prove something important. We are more capable than fear would have us believe. Roosevelt himself embodied this principle. Years before becoming president, he was diagnosed with polio, a disease that left him unable to walk without assistance. Many people assumed his political career was finished. The obstacles were immense. Yet Roosevelt refused to allow adversity to define him. He adapted, he persevered, he continued moving forward. Eventually, he became one of the most influential leaders in American history. His life reinforced the very message he shared with the nation. Fear may be powerful, but determination is stronger today. We live in a world filled with uncertainty. Technology changes rapidly. Economic conditions shift. Global events create new challenges. News headlines often emphasize crisis and conflict. It is easy to become overwhelmed. It is easy to feel anxious about the future. That is why Roosevelt's words remain relevant. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The quote does not suggest ignoring reality. It does not encourage recklessness. Instead, it teaches us to recognize the difference between genuine challenges and the fear that magnifies them. Challenges require solutions. Fear requires understanding. When we face challenges with clarity, courage, and determination, we discover possibilities that fear concealed. The next time you find yourself hesitating, ask a simple question. What would I do if fear were not making this decision? The answer may reveal an opportunity you have been overlooking. Perhaps you would start that project. Perhaps you would pursue that dream. Perhaps you would have that difficult conversation. Perhaps you would finally take the first step. Remember, fear is often loud, but it is not always truthful. History shows that individuals, communities, and nations accomplish extraordinary things when they refuse to be controlled by fear. Franklin D. Roosevelt understood this during one of America's darkest hours. His message continues to guide us today, not because fear has disappeared, but because every generation must learn the same lesson. Fear may stand in our path, yet fear itself is not destiny. The moment we choose courage over fear, action over hesitation, and hope over despair, we begin transforming our lives. And that is the enduring wisdom behind one of history's greatest quotes. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Thank you for watching. If this lesson inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Lessons and Echoes of Wisdom, and share in the comments. What fear have you overcome that changed your life? Your story may inspire someone else to take their first courageous step today.